Hi everyone, thank you very much for joining us today. I see that more people are still joining, so we're going to wait a couple of minutes um, so that everyone can join. Okay, hi everyone. Thank you very much for joining us on today's webinar. So I'm going to start with a bit of housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded. This recording will be sent to all attendees if you would like to revisit the topic or share it with your colleagues. You can submit questions at any time through your GoToWebinar panel, and we will have some time for Q&A towards the end. You can always contact CardioLog or Saketa if you have any additional questions that we didn't touch in today's webinar. So I just want to go a little bit over the agenda of today's webinar. We're going to start with an introduction and value and an effective plan to roll out Microsoft Teams. After that, we will discuss best practices and how you can migrate SharePoint sites into Microsoft Teams. Then we will discuss tips and tricks for project productivity, followed by integration with analytics and its benefits to your organization. And lastly, we will discuss the barriers to adoption. So I'll just start with a brief introduction of CardioLog, and then we can kick things off. So we've been around for the past 15 years. Our focus is to bring analytics and engagement for Office 365, including all versions of SharePoint. We operate worldwide with customers all around the world from every continent and from every vertical. And now I would like to present Ankita, my colleague, who will introduce Saketa and will kick off this webinar.
Thanks, Omri. So hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing well and are safe at your homes. So I'm Ankita Singh, and I'm a product manager here at Saketa. And I have my colleague Kranti Golagatta along with me, who is a Microsoft 365 strategist here at Saketa. So today, we will be talking about value of Microsoft Teams, how it engages and empowers various delivery streams, an effective plan to roll out Teams for your organization, best practices in Teams, and then we'll show you how SharePoint sites can be migrated to Teams with the help of our amazing product, Saketa Migrator. And finally, we will share some cool tips and tricks to use Teams effectively for project productivity. So let's start with a quick introduction of Saketa. Saketa was founded in 2015 with its headquarters located at Seattle. We specialize in internet-related products, and we provide accelerated business solutions with the help of our business productivity suite, and we also provide services for SharePoint migration and Office 365 migration platforms. Our products have been received really well, and we have won numerous awards, including Best Office App Award and Best User Interface Award in Microsoft Ignite. So do check out our website, saketa.com, for more details about our products. Let's now talk about Microsoft Teams. So Teams is being adopted and used by many companies. Around 500K organizations and 91 of Fortune 100 companies use Teams. It's now the biggest and fastest growing work collaboration app. And why not? It provides so many amazing capabilities, which helps in seamless communication and collaboration, like chat capabilities, video conferencing, secure enterprise level file storage, and integration with many Office 365 and other third-party apps. Study shows that the usage of Teams has increased from 32 million daily active users to 44 million in just a week. It can be used in any kind of industry like educational institutions, retail, travel, finance, IT, and much more. So let's see a few examples of how some big names in the market use Teams. So a global retail giant, Marks and Spencer, needed a modern application so that would allow employees to stay engaged with customers and at the same time stay connected and informed about upcoming sales activities. So Microsoft Teams helped them in achieving this. And now store managers and employees across the world can stay connected, updated, and collaborate as required. So there is another giant company, which is Air France. So earlier its employees who were responsible for check-in and onboarding services had to rely completely on radio for communication. But now they use Microsoft Teams to connect with their colleagues in the field. So let's now move on to see how Microsoft Teams helps in engaging and empowering various delivery streams. Since it's very much responsive, it enables the first-line workers to communicate and collaborate effectively. Also, it can be integrated with the workforce management system. So let's see an example for this. It has a schedule management tool called Shifts, which helps managers to create, update, and manage schedules for their team. I guess we all will agree that people are happier and more productive when they get recognition for their efforts. For this, Microsoft Teams has introduced a feature called Praise, using which you can send a claim to your employees and peers and praise them. So from first-line workers to higher management, everyone can stay empowered and engaged with the help of Teams. Let's see now how various streams can drive their work easily and flawlessly with the help of Teams. So we'll first talk about our very own HR department. With the rise of flexible and mobile work, there has been a significant cultural change in where, when, and how people work. So it is very difficult for the HR team to keep employees engaged. They also need to be accessible to all of them and be responsive. So Teams help them in overcoming all these challenges. With the help of channels, chat, audio and video calls, they can have communication with any specific employee or team. Also, since Teams is mobile responsive, they can always be accessible to the employees. They can also easily schedule training for employees anywhere in the world. Teams also provides them a list of best HR apps to make their job easier. So let's look at a few of them. They can use attendance bot to track attendance and time of the employees. Office AMP lets employees log the issues anytime and anywhere, and then HRs can look into those issues. Zoho Recruit helps HRs in the recruitment process, and Poly helps them in creating instant polls with live results, and this makes it easy for users to engage and increase participation. Let's see what the customer experience is. So not only HR, but all the departments in McCann World Group have found Teams very useful. And since the deployment of Teams, not only their travel expenses have reduced, but they have also facilitated a longer lasting communication and collaboration. So let's now move on to another very important delivery stream, which is finance. So according to research, up to 80% of financial services employees' time is spent on repetitive and manual tasks. So with Microsoft Teams, They can accelerate their individual and group productivity to improve customer experience, resolve business challenges, and drive efficiencies across common business processes. So with the help of channels and integration with Office 365 tools like Planner, Excel, and Power BI, they can plan and manage their budget and can generate monthly, quarterly, and annual report. So let's now look at Microsoft Teams report from Schneider Electric. Schneider Electric's financial team is globally dispersed, and due to this, they struggle to collaborate on quarterly business reviews. So team members were unable to co-author documents, and they spent unproductive time searching for the latest version of source files for financial reports. Now, they use Microsoft Teams to discuss, store, and find current files, and they can update them in real time. All right. So there is another very important stream for every organization, which is sales and marketing. So marketing campaigns require a great deal of planning and communication for effective implementation. It's important that there are proper tools in place to ensure success, and same is true for sales team as well. Now, after seeing so many examples, I hope we all will agree that Microsoft Teams is the one-place solution for them. A sales team can often work on multiple projects or deals in the pipeline at the same time. So this can become a time-consuming and frustrating task for the individual. With Microsoft Teams, sales team can create specific channels to collaborate with their different work projects. With the help of Planner, they can prepare and track sales and marketing planning. And since Teams provides integration with Microsoft Flows, they can easily manage their invoice approvals as well. So there is no need of keeping track of emails or open tasks. They can also organize a marketing campaign via Teams, and they can set up connectors such as RSS feed for customer and competitors updates. There are also so many applications that are integrated in Microsoft Teams to make the job of sales and marketing teams very easy. So let's look at a few of them. Template Chooser provides a list of templates, which makes creating a new document as simple as clicking on one of the listed templates. With Sign Easy, you can sign documents or request signatures directly from your Teams app. Squiggle helps them create outstanding animated presentations in minutes, and no prior expertise is required to use it. So this was all about usage of Microsoft Teams in various delivery streams. Now my colleague Kranti will help you understand about effective planning to roll out Teams for your organization. So over to you, Kranti.
Thanks, Ankita. Now we will quickly move into effective planning to roll out Teams. There are several benefits that need to be addressed when an organization starts planning to roll out Teams. Like, what are the benefits to organizations? What are the benefits to the team leaders and employees in the organization? Some of the key benefits are centralized communications, smaller number of email conversations, better search experience, and cataloging features. Before we deploy Teams, we need to make sure Teams is included in Microsoft licenses. It is also important to evaluate the requirements of services such as Exchange and SharePoint, as these services are dependent. Having a creation process is a very important step in the organization. Is everybody able to create teams? Not everyone in the organization can create teams. Every time you create a new team in Teams, an Office 365 group, Planner, and a SharePoint team sites are created. And you will end up creating a number of SharePoint team sites if you don't have a creation process in place. Conducting a pilot test is another important factor which we need to think about. Deploying partially for a couple of departments creates an opportunity to get users excited and know the benefits of the teams. It also helps users to understand how the service works. And it helps IT administrators to adjust the implementation strategy before rolling out to the entire organization. Once the Teams is deployed in the organization, you will need to make sure users understand and help users in transition from current collaboration applications. Though the teams are easy to use, preparing a user guide can help organization in ease the transition. Now we will navigate into governance and best practices. Whether you are allowing the guest or an external user with the team, I think you should allow an external user. If not, they start using different communication of methods to share the content, like attaching files to emails, and that's something you are trying to avoid. If the purpose of the team is internal use, I don't think it needs to be collaborate externally. The internal teams probably contains confidential data that you don't want it to be shared. And the name you choose for a newly created team impacts several aspects of Office 365. Creating a team creates an email address for the team. So it's important to stick to a similar naming convention. For example, you have two teams. You can name them like team marketing and team sales. The name should be descriptive and understandable clearly so that one can understand the purpose. Create an approval process for making new teams. This can be as simple as getting approval from a manager. It doesn't have to be complex. It just makes sure that people aren't creating new teams every day. A short checklist can help employees decide whether creating a team is necessary or not. Team owners can now turn on moderation for channel to control who can start new posts and reply to the post in the channel. When you set up a moderation, you can choose one or team member to be a moderators. And now coming to content security with the help of using channels, public and private. Public teams are available to everyone and can be joined without the team owner's approval. Private teams can only be joined if the team owner or moderator adds you. You can also turn off the discoverability so that people can only find the team if it's shared by the owner or a member. It will be helpful to IT administrators in setting an Office 365 expiration policy at the tenant level and finding the teams which are not in use for a long time and get rid of them. Based on the recently rolled out activity-based Teams renewal feature, you can now set an expiration policy based on the user activity. Unlike before, expiration was only based on the time period you set. Now let's see some key features of Saketa Migrator for SharePoint to Teams migration. Using Saketa Migrator, now we can migrate a SharePoint site as a Teams. SharePoint site at the source will become a team at the target. Every document library in source SharePoint site will be migrated as channel into the destination teams. With enabling turbo mode in the migrator, you can now migrate the content at a faster pace than an usual migration happens. And if you don't want a complex folder structure which already exists in the source SharePoint site, by using the flattened folder structure feature in the tool, you can just migrate only files into single channel at the target. Why to preserve all the versions of the files? With the help of limit to latest version, you can just simply migrate whichever the version is required. As part of modernization, now we will see a demo how can we migrate SharePoint sites as teams by using an amazing product, Saketa Migrator. This is Saketa Migrator's dashboard. And here in the left, you can see a Teams icon here. By clicking this, you will be navigating into Saketa Teams Migrator dashboard. And here, there are 4 features for Teams migration, which are SharePoint to Teams, File System to Teams, Teams to Teams, and Slacks to Teams. So now we are doing a SharePoint to team migration. So I'm selecting the first one. Now we have navigated into Teams Wizard. In the first step, we will be adding a source SharePoint connection using these two options. So you can choose either of them. You can choose a source connection using an existing connection, or you can just click here to add a new source connection by providing SharePoint URL, username, and password. As I have already created my connection and I'm using the existing connection from here. And you can also see the version type, it's SharePoint 2013. And now we are navigated into source contents. You can see the list of source contents of the SharePoint site. So now we have a SharePoint site collection called Teams Demo. So this SharePoint site collection will be migrated as Teams at the destination. I'm clicking next. And now we have to choose our destination connection. We can choose our destination connection by using existing connection, or you can just click here to add a new destination connection by providing a username and password. And you have two options for the authentication. You have a manual and also browser custom authentication. And I'm choosing the destination in the existing connection and I'm clicking on next. It will take us a little while here. Now we will be navigating into migrate as teams page, which basically choose how to migrate the teams. So here again we have two options. So we can create a brand new team here by entering a team name and group alias, and also you have a option called kind of team. You can choose either of them, public or private. And by choosing the second option, you can migrate the content into the existing team. And if you choose the second option, it will be migrating into the existing team as a channel. So now I'm choosing a first option and we are creating a new one. And now we will be navigating into the next step, which is library configurations, which helps us to choose how to migrate lists and libraries. So here in the library configurations, you have two tabs under it, libraries and lists. So these are the document libraries from SharePoint site collection. And you have an option called migrate as. By selecting this drop-down, you can choose how the document library can be migrated. It can be a folder, or if you totally want to avoid the document library to be migrated, you can choose skip. And also there's another option called merge nested folder. If you don't want to migrate folders and only want to migrate files, you can select this option by checking the box. And similarly in the list, you can completely avoid by choosing the skip option to migrate. So now I'm choosing all the default options here and I'm clicking on next. Now we have navigated into user configuration page. Here you can choose how users are in the source need to be migrated to the destination. You can choose a team owner or member, and you can choose skip if you want to avoid the user. And now we will be navigating into the mapping section, which basically allows us to choose the permission level mapping for users and groups. here we can map source users with destination users by searching the user in the source and destination. You can just drag and drop the user in the respective areas so that it will migrate the content accordingly. For example, so this is one of the source user, and now this is one of the destination user. So if you just drag and drop the user, it will migrate the content accordingly. And also you can just drag the user and you can point at all the unresolved users so that the migration will happen accordingly. And also you have an option here called show unresolved users. If you click on this option, it will pop up all the users at both the tenant levels. And similarly, at the permission level mapping, you can map the source permissions with the destination permissions. And if you want to go to the next step, you have to click on save and then click on next. Now we have reached to the global setting page. If the site object exists, you can choose between these two options. You can skip or you can merge. And if the items are already exist, you can choose between these options. Copy and replace, keep both, copy newer, or merge. And similarly for errors and warnings. And here you can see the turbo mode gear. By disabling it, you will be having a normal mode, and to enable the turbo mode, you have to enable this gear. And now I'm clicking on next. So we have reached to a final step here. Here you can review all the configurations made so far, and by clicking the start migration, the migration will start, and once the migration is completed, you will be able to see SharePoint site collections migrated as teams at destination and all document libraries as channels. As I have already done the migration to save the time, now I will navigate into the destination teams and show how the teams are created. So this is our destination teams. So you can see the team has created here, and these are all the document libraries from SharePoint site collections, and now these are all called as team channels. And in the administration channel, we have a couple of files. I will be just see the files have also got migrated here. The migrated files will be placed in the files section of the channel. So you can see the files are also migrated here. All the document libraries as channels. You can see we have seen how easily we can migrate SharePoint site collection data as teams using Saketa Migrator. Now, my colleague Ankita will provide some information on tips and tricks for using teams for project productivity.
Thank you, Kranti. It was really cool to see how easily we can migrate SharePoint sites to Teams. As Kranti said, now we'll share some cool tips and tricks to see how Microsoft Teams can be used for project productivity. So many of us still do a major part of our project communication through Outlook, and now Teams is integrated with Outlook. So using Send to Teams option, we can easily share emails in any Teams channel and vice versa. In each channel, you can add applications like Jira, Asana, Planner, etc. as additional tabs that allow you to unlock the full potential of Teams. Some people say that the key to productivity is in the shortcuts. And here in Teams, we have a list of shortcuts and commands using which you can easily navigate through Teams. While doing meetings through video call, we might not want our background to be displayed due to multiple reasons. And in Microsoft Teams, you can change or blur your background so that it is not displayed to your team members. Also, Microsoft Teams is not just for Teams work. When users think of Teams, they assume that it is only beneficial when working on collaboration items or to complete project work with others. But if used effectively, there should be very few reasons why you are leaving the Teams environment to get your work done. The Teams brings together all the Microsoft applications that you would need in your day-to-day workflow in one central location. You can create your own private team to manage a special project or a client list. You can also navigate to the Files view to access your OneDrive work files and complete your daily tasks. So while working independently, you will have access to chat with others, join meetings, make audio or video calls. So working with co-workers is not the requirement for you to use Teams effectively. This was all about some of the best strategies and practices in Microsoft Teams. I now request my colleague Omri from CardioLog to help you understand on how analytics can be integrated with Teams and what are its benefits to an organization. Over to you, Omri.
Thank you very much, Ankita, for the insights. So after, let's see. So when we talk about adoption and user usage, we have to discuss analytics. You can only manage what you know. This is a very important part of adopting new technology. Later, I'm going to discuss the barriers and hardships of taking in new technology, specifically Microsoft Teams. But the first part is always analytics. If you don't know what the problem is, you cannot take action towards a solution. Right here, you can see our 3 pillars of adoption. The first one is monitoring. You need to monitor the usage, what people use and what they don't. And through that, you can understand what needs to be improved. After that, you want to hear from your end users, what they like and dislike, and how you can help them really integrate into the new system. You can let them know about new features and make them feel like you hear them. And with these 2 pillars, you can really enhance your organization's productivity. So this is a short schematic overview of how CardioLog works, and I want to show this to you before I dive into the analytics itself and what you need to know. So the first step is the data source. We capture the data with different mechanisms, including JavaScripts and the APIs. The data later is being processed and stored in Microsoft Azure, and as you will see in a moment, it will be displayed with Power BI. So let me dive in right into the analytics. What information can we know, and how does it help us? So right here, we are looking at the first dashboard of Teams Analytics presented in Power BI, as I said. This gives us an overview of the engagement with Microsoft Teams. On the top left side of my page, you can see active versus inactive users. You can see public or private messages. And you can see the access type, whether people are using Teams through their computer or through their phones, through the app. This really gives us an insight of whether people are adopted to the technology or not. If they don't know how to use the app on the phone, or they don't feel comfortable enough to use it, they will usually only use Teams when they are in front of their computer. But Teams allows us to be in touch at all time and to get a quick response. And this is a great indicator to understand if people are actually using Teams on their phones as well. And on the right side of my page, you can see a few basic metrics, like the amount of contributors through time. We can see as the year progresses that more and more people use Microsoft Teams because we provided more training and we improved the entire platform. After that, we can see the amount of messages with no response. Here, it's a very high rate, more than 96%. This is crazy high. This means that people are just reading content. They're not creating it mostly, and they're not responding to it. And this really misses the whole point of Teams. So now I want to go a little bit deeper and to see what's going on within the teams. So at the top of my page, you can see a bit of metrics like active teams and the amount of active members. At the bottom of my page, you can see the teams themselves and some basic metrics around them. How many members they have, how many channels, how many messages and replies. Again, this is a great indicator to understand who needs the help. Which teams or which departments, for example, use Teams and who doesn't. So now I want to take even a deeper look into the individual teams. On the left top side of my page, you can see that I can filter through the teams themselves. And if I click on any of these teams, you can see how the entire dashboard will filter itself to show me data for the specific team I requested, which is in this case management. And I can also go even deeper into the channel. So many times when we're talking about the channel itself, people don't understand why we need to monitor the channel if we are monitoring the teams. So this is a very crucial part when we're talking about larger teams. So teams that have tens or even hundreds of users, most of the activity will be in the channels and not through the entirety of the team, because writing messages to hundreds of people is mostly ineffective and no one wants to do that. But writing to specific group, that is the key right here. And at the bottom left side of my page, you can see an overview of the meeting. Again, this is a very big part of Microsoft Teams, and we want to view it. How many meetings people are having, and how does it compare to the other platforms that we have? For example, Skype. Are people migrating effectively to Teams, using Teams more to call? Are they sending more versus emails? So now I want to continue and discuss the most influential users. At the top of my page, you can see a table that lists all the individual users. And again, you can filter it through a team or channel. And this gives you an understanding of who uses and who does not use. Here we can detect that a very small amount of people are putting all the efforts into Microsoft Teams. So let's say that only 10% of the people are creating 90% of the content. This means that something is wrong, that people either don't know how to use Teams or don't understand why they need to use Teams. And again, we can see the activity in the channels per message, the replies, the likes they received, etc. And at the bottom of my page, you can see the member interaction. So this is again a big part of Microsoft Teams, as we want to know that people are interacting directly with each other through the chat instead of email, for example. And here we can detect exactly that. We don't see the content, the messages themselves, but we do see how many times people are responding to each other. And again, this gives us an understanding if people are generally using Teams or don't. And lastly here, I want to take a look at the most influential content. So again, this can be filtered through teams and channels. At the bottom of my page, the bottom left side, you can see the top threads. This allows us to understand what people are most interested in. How many contributors, how many people are commenting on these threads? How many people are responding? And how many likes or other reactions like emojis, for example, we have. Again, this is a very big part because we don't want just people to like and just leave it as is. We want people to comment. We want people to react to it, express their feelings. And on the right side of my page, you can see two very important parts of Microsoft Teams. So it is known that Microsoft Teams is the hub, excuse me, for teamwork in Office 365. So not only do we want to see how people are interacting with each other, we want to see the files that are being shared, where are they being shared and how many times, and we want to see the top apps that people use within Microsoft Teams. Again, this gives us an in-depth understanding of how people use Microsoft Teams. Because if we'll learn that people only use it for messaging, we know that they don't really understand the full potential of Microsoft Teams and what it can really provide them. So after seeing the numbers, the metrics, the analytics, many times we learn that sometimes it's just not enough. We want to engage with our end users to understand their experience and what they need from us. So for that, we have CardioLog Engage. This is a separate tool that allows you to create a campaign to achieve any goal you want. Whether it's to promote a change within Office 365 or have a survey ask a question, but I'll show you how you can actually create a new campaign from scratch. So first, we'll choose the audience. Maybe it's everyone, telling them about the deployment of a new site in SharePoint, for example. Or maybe I have detected that a specific group, whether it's in SharePoint or a specific team, for example, are not really using Microsoft Teams. So maybe I want to contact them. But maybe I don't want to contact everyone within this team, only the inactive users. So users who did not visit, for example, for more than 14 days. Next, we'll choose the channel. Maybe it's an end-up message in SharePoint, or maybe it's a message in Team that sends them a question. How's it going? Or what are you searching for example. But let's say that we want to target people that don't use any of the new Office 365 platforms. So maybe we want to send a personal text message or an email with a link just for them to understand what they need or how we can help them to navigate through the rollout. Next, you can text and design it in any way you'd like, and ask for their question, for their response. Maybe you want them to rate the feature, or just ask an open question. Maybe they'll get a message from Teams asking them, how's it going? Are you finding what you need? Do you know how to create a specific content? And with their answers, you can really learn what you need to improve in order for them to succeed. And lastly here, we're going to discuss a trigger. Maybe it's scheduled every Monday morning with the CEO message of the week that will be sent through Teams. Or maybe it's triggered by a certain action when they are scrolling down or scrolling down in SharePoint or viewing a specific message within Teams that will trigger another message that we can get for their response. And now I want to dive into the barriers of adopting Teams. Why it seems so hard sometimes. So with all the integrated communication, knowledge management, and collaboration it provides, Microsoft Teams, as I said, is the hub for teamwork in Office 365. But if that's the case, why are so many organization users adoption rate are so much lower than for Outlook, for example? So the truth is that email is ingrained, and changing user habits is difficult. Studies show that only about 34% of users are willing to use new technology rollouts. So buying and installing the new technology is actually the easy part. Making sure users adopt to the new system to the full capacity of it and continue to use it on a sustained basis is where a lot of organizations fall short. Getting full adoption and benefits realization for technology projects is not simple, and it is certainly not a given because there are many barriers to adoption when rolling out or migrating. You'd want to get over these barriers because employee adoption has a huge ripple effect. The users will enjoy smoother task completion and less frustration, while the organization will see improved productivity and positive ROI if adoption increased. So there are three main barriers when we are talking about adoption and productivity. The first one is users not grasping the value of the tool. The second one is poor user training. And the third one is ineffective communication. So let's explain. Many times when we roll out new technology, we, as the people that are in charge of the rollout, we know the tool and what features we can use. But the end users usually don't, which leads us straight to our second barrier, which is poor training. The fact that an end users went through a training session, or even a few of them, doesn't mean that he knows how or why he should use the different features. And when we're talking about Microsoft Teams, there are many wonderful features that we would like our end users to use. And the third problem is miscommunication, actually. We all received in the past many emails from our organization telling us about a new technology and how to use it. But after the third email, not mentioning even the fifth or 10th email, most people just take them out of their inbox and forget they ever existed. You will notice that all of the top barriers are people-centered. We all know the hardest thing about technology adoption is people, because as I said, change is just really difficult. So change is met with resistance, as we discussed. It usually calls for a cultural shift, and organizations have to drive excitement so people will truly use the technology. Our Engage tool is a powerful solution that can help you overcome all three main barriers. Engage can help you raise awareness of the new technology, encourage more people to adopt the new technology, increase users' productivity within it. And after that, it can collect important feedback from users regarding the new technology and drive excitement. If you want to drive user adoption to its highest potential, you need such an effective internal communication solution to communicate with your users during all steps of rollout or migration and drive user adoption to its highest potential. So let's further discuss a solution. Many organizations have experienced the hardships of poor implementation and user adoption of collaboration tools in the past. Since Teams is built for larger enterprises, its deployment process requires more effort and time. In deploying Teams, it is more effective to have administrators take control of this process and use tools to simplify the transition. Targeted and fluent communication is the key to user adoption. But as I said before, many people straight up ignore some of the communication efforts from the organization. Bidirectional internal communication tools are critical to successfully driving Teams adoption and usage, from keeping your employees in the loop to raising awareness, articulating expectations, and even measuring your adoption and satisfaction. Adoption is key to business value, so it is extremely important to get as many people as possible on board as soon as possible. People resist change in the organization, but with an effective internal communication solution, one can easily overcome that. So why do most people just ignore emails from the organization? Well, it's mostly because these emails are super generic and they don't speak to a specific group. And even if we're talking about administrators sending email, even then, they can't be absolutely sure who reads the email, and they can't be sure that the email is relevant to them. They will just send the email to all of their employees, all the people underneath them, and that's a huge waste of time. Traditional change management efforts are very likely to be part of your drive for adoption. As with any efforts, the more targeted the message to different groups, the better. For example, communications should be framed in the perspective of the needs of a specific group. Your messaging may also need to explore the bigger picture. Communication needs to explain the what and the how, but also why employees should use Teams to win hearts and minds. Also, make consistent announcement to your organizations on new features available in Teams. Ensure the right message lands in the right hands. It's critical to an organization to have a proactive communication strategy for your user to send the message you want your users to receive. And after that, we need to discuss feedback. During all phases of your rollout, it's important to offer employee a way to ask questions or give feedback. You should enable two-way communication with your users to find out firsthand what's working and what isn't. This will allow you to able to tailor training to the need of your employees and to help keep your employees in the loop. Making your employees feel heard will result in a much higher adoption rate. So it is important to offer employees a way to ask questions or to give feedback throughout the entire rollout process. CardioLog Engage is a great tool in that regard, because you can receive the feedback about training process, for example, during your Teams migration. You can quickly and easily automate messages to your users during your migration to collect feedback and assess user satisfaction. For example, you can have quick polls to take the pulse of your user satisfaction, to gather data about their knowledge and satisfaction of the new features, or you could automate a survey to offer employees a way to ask questions or just generally give feedback what they're thinking. Using CardioLog Engage smart internal communication tools to run awareness and training campaigns to manage your Microsoft Teams migration can save vital time while increasing clarity and excitement among your employees. You can quickly and easily automate campaigns to articulate expectations, raise awareness, encourage adoption, and provide the right help to the right people when they need it. So after discussing all of this, now you can really go ahead and start your Teams rollout after understanding the entire process, why you should use Teams and how you can target your end users, and how you can migrate all of your older versions of information to Microsoft Teams. You can really reach the full potential of the platform. And now I see that we have a few more minutes for some Q&A. So I see here that Rachel has a question for Saketa. Can we use Teams as corporate internet?
Yes, I guess I'll take that question. So of course, so you can bring in the news information from your SharePoint site, and you can also bring in Yammer conversations in there, and all these come as tabs. And also here in Saketa, we have Saketa Internet Suite as an amazing platform where you have some content-driven widgets that you can put it on a SharePoint page and bring it as a tab here in Teams. So that way you can get best of both, that is the SharePoint internet experience and Teams internet experience. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Ankita. So I see here a question from Joe that asks if in CardioLog, if we can compare the usage across Office 365 platforms. So the answer is yes. This is actually a very important part. Thank you for the question. We want to make sure that we control the data across the entire platform. So that means if someone does not use Teams, he uses something else because people still communicate. So we want to see how many people are using email, for example, versus Teams. Or we want to see if people are active socially on Yammer versus Teams, for example. So the answer is yes, and it is a very vital part of our solution. And okay, I see that sadly we are all out of time. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us on today's webinar. As I said, the webinar has been recorded and will be sent to you after the session. We will send you an email and you can respond to it at any time to schedule a private session with CardioLog and Saketa to discuss your specific platform, what you need, where you're at, and where you're going. So I would like to thank all of today's speakers. Thank you very much for the insights, and thank you everyone for joining us. Have a great day.